Time for our fourth Halloween video. This child has been dead for almost 80 years, at least, or to put a positive spin on it, Casper the Friendly Ghost has been a staple in homes all around the world for almost 80 years. On November 16th, 1945, the first ever appearance of Casper the Friendly Ghost occurred. This appearance was in the cartoon The Friendly Ghost. The Friendly Ghost was a part of the Novellatoons, which was a series of animated shorts made by Famous Studios, which was bought by Paramount. Then eventually it was shut down in 1957. The premise of The Friendly Ghost is that Casper here is a lovely guy who just wants to get along with everyone, while his three uncles, the ghostly trio, are telling him he has to haunt and scare people, or he's not a real ghost. Casper has also appeared in comics since 1949, produced by Harvey Comics, and it was very successful that it produced 3 spin-off series: Spooky the Tough Little Ghost, Wendy the Good Witch, and the Ghostly Trio, all characters in Casper's comics and TV shows. Since his initial appearance, Casper has appeared in 5 other shows: Matty's Fun Day Funnies, the new Casper cartoon show, and Casper the Angels, which was a sci-fi show where Casper was a guardian ghost to these 2 space police officers. This was so random, I might watch it. It only had 1 season. There's also the Harvey Toon Show, also known as Casper and Friends, which is a show featuring Harvey Comics characters. Next there was the Spectacular New Adventures of Casper, which I vaguely remember from my childhood. In this one, Casper gets the backstory of a 12-year-old boy who died of pneumonia, who is haunting his family house alongside his 3 ghost uncles. It was just those 4 until Kat and her father, Dr. Harvey, moved in. Then they all have to learn to live with each other, so to speak. More living on these 2's part. There's also several movies such as Casper Haunted Christmas, Casper the CGI movie, which was terrifying, A Casper a Threatened Beginning, and Casper Meets Wendy. Today we are going to be talking about the 5th and final Casper TV show, Casper Scare School. This show was a spin-off of the movie Casper Scare School, which came out in 2006, so I will summarise that first. Casper was voiced by Devon Werkheiser, aka Ned from Ned the Classified School Survival Guy, Russell Mayberry. The movie starts with Casper's uncle Stretch, Stinky, and Fatso, very creative names, watching Monsters News, seeing that their latest scare made it on the news. Then we see Casper being startled by his human friend Jimmy, and they are horrified. But that horror is intensified when they realise Kibosh, the king of the underworld, came to visit and saw Casper embarrass all ghost kind by being scared by a human. So when Casper gets home from hanging out with Jimmy, Kibosh tells him enough is enough, and he has failed to become an honourable ghost by being too friendly. So he will be sent to Scare School, which is a school for monsters that have something wrong with them. Whilst packing to go, his uncle expressed sadness that he's being sent away, but they say it is better than the alternative, which is being sent to the Valley of the Shadows, which is a place non-scary monsters are sent and they never return, just like their aunt, who Casper has never met because she never returned. Casper tells Jimmy about being sent away with promises to go to his football games. They have a pirate ship as a school bus, flown by Cappy, the 2 eye patch pirate, and Beaky, the parrot who gives Cappy directions because he has 2 eye patches and cannot see.
Which way be we facing?
Forward.
No, we're facing forward, you sad excuse for a seagull.
Upon boarding the boat, Casper is immediately confronted by Thatch, this annoying vampire who picks on everyone on the boat, and he tries to bite Casper, but it does not work because Casper is a ghost, so he goes right through and ends up biting his own tongue and swears to get revenge on Casper. Luckily, the rest of the students are not like Thatch, and Casper meets Mantha and Ra. Mantha is a zombie whose body keeps falling apart, and Ra is a mummy who has unraveling problems. There's also zombie racism, as zombies are thought as uncool monsters.
Mummy, or even, I don't know, a zombie.
Typical anti-zombie attitude.
By the time they get to school, the head teachers are already aware of Casper's friendliness issue, as Kibosh warned them about him. Casper instantly has issues with all his teachers. One is giving incorrect information about humans. Casper corrects them and gets attention,
Allowing the monkey to look up the throat, panic, and start pumping.
Actually,
he also helps Mantha when she falls apart in gym class, and kindness is frowned upon there, so he is sent to the principal's office and is yet again threatened with the Valley of the Shadows. He tries to become more scary with the help of Ra and Mantha by bribing the lake monster to pretend to be scared of Casper. The whole time Casper has been going back to Dee's town, where he visits Jimmy during his football matches, and after a Scooby-Doo-like chase scene, Batch catches him with a note from Jimmy talking about their friendship.
I know you'll be there. You haven't missed one yet. Signed, your human friend, Jimmy.
And to punish Casper, the head teacher drags him back to Dee's town to scare Jimmy, which was successful, but he feels so bad about scaring Jimmy that he banishes himself to the Valley of the Shadows. You know, the place where Noah returns from. Turns out, the reason Noah returns from it is because it is amazing and fun. While they go back to the place where everyone tries to force them to scare people when they don't want to, so they will just choose to stay there. And Casper finds his grand aunt and they hang out. Back at school, the head teachers have been planning on getting rid of Kibosh and taking over the underworld because they don't like how Kibosh runs things things. Kibosh believes there is a balance. If the fleshies, aka humans, are not scared enough, then they will rise up and attack creatures. But if they are too scared, they will rise up and attack creatures. So there needs to be a balance between how much they're scaring the fleshies. But Alda and Dash, the head teachers over here, don't care about that balance, and they just want to scare whenever they want to. So they built this device to petrify Kibosh, but they need ghosts to test it on. And since Casper is gone, they summon his uncles to test it on them.
We haven't tested it on ghosts yet, so we just told them everything and
If this doesn't turn you to stone, we'd appreciate it if you forget everything I just said.
Ra and Mantha see this and ask Cappy to take them to the Valley of the Shadows, go get Casper to save the uncles and the rest of the underworld. Cappy agrees to do this since Casper was the only person to ever compliment his sailing, driving, flying, whatever the hell this ship does. Casper complimented it, being friendly help.
Casper's the only student who ever praised me navigating.
I can see why!
What?
And Beaky is no longer there since Alder and Dash confiscated him from Cappy because Cappy helped Casper get to his human friend's football game. These three get to the Valleys of the Shadows, but none of them want to get in there due to the stories about the place. So they send this piece of talking wood in, and after some tea, he tells Casper what's happening to his uncles and the rest of the underworld. And Casper says that he has to go back. Also, in the Valley of Shadows, he meets Alder and Dash's aunt and uncle called Ankle. Very creative. Fast forward the last 30 minutes, they get home. Ankle over here tells off Alder and Dash, meaning they are defeated. They all have a party with the humans. They just spend the entire day terrifying. Apparently, the humans are very forgiving in this town, and also very forgetful because this is never brought up again.
What's our position, Beaky?
Well, you be standing, and I be sitting on your shoulder.
There were a lot of notable voice actors in this movie. When the uncles were sitting down, they were watching TVs, and I was shocked to hear the voice of Robin as a host on this show. This parrot Beaky was voiced by the same person who played Tweety in Lilo and Stitch. We also have the voice of Kim Possible playing Mantha. Yeah, basically all the voice acting cast were replaced for the TV show. Some similar to the movies, others completely different. This movie and its subsequent TV show both lack classic characters from the Casper friendly ghost lore, such as Wendy, who, as I previously mentioned, had a movie called Casper Meets Wendy and a spin-off comic book. Casper's cousin Spooky is not mentioned, even though he has been alongside Casper since 1953. And even after this show, he appears alongside Casper in the comic Casper Ghostland, which came out more recently. And as mentioned before, I watched the Spooktacular New Adventures of Casper, so that is my main memory of the ghostly trio. So I was very confused at how nice and pleasant they were in the movie and the TV show. They were not constantly awful in the Spooktacular New Adventures, but they did tease Casper far more often about his inability to scare people, and they kept trying to toughen him up to be a scary ghost. But in Casper Scare School, both movie and TV show, they are really nice. Neither the TV show or the movie pull from the source material that often. There was also a comic with 2 issues about Casper Scare School that came out in 2011. Now that everyone is caught up, let's talk about the show. It started in 2009, 3 years after the Casper Scare School movie. The only characters in this show that have appeared in other Casper media is Casper's uncles, Kibosh, and obviously Casper. Everyone else is an original character for this version of Casper. So let's talk about some of the notable ones. We have Mantha, who was in the movie. She's probably the most interesting character, so they will get decreasingly less interesting from here. Mantha is Casper's friend, and as mentioned before, she is a zombie, and there is zombie racism.
Typical anti-zombie attitude.
So her character is either inconsequential to the plot, or she's being discriminated against. There is no real in-between with her character. Focusing on the zombie racism for a minute, 2 episodes where it's prominent is in the episode Scare Day and the episode Disarmed and Dangerous. Scare Day is about an annual competition they hold where they go out to the human town to scare fleshies, and everyone expects that Thatch is going to win because he is the scariest and the most ruthless one. And no one expects Mantha to win because in the 2,000 years of the competition, a zombie has never won. And Kibosh even tried to skip over her as he deemed it a waste of time.
What about me?
Oh, right.
But she ended up winning, go her, with a little help from Casper. In the episode Disarmed and Dangerous, Mantha's normal arm is causing problems for her, so she decides to try different ones out. But those 2 are even worse than the original one and end up vandalizing the school. And Thatch keeps saying this is not surprising behaviour from a zombie. Next we have Ra. Ra is the mummy of the friend group. He was a rich kid until some archaeologist raided his parents' crypt and stole all their valuables. That really blurs the lines between archaeology and grave robbing. For some reason, Alder and Dash still have their desk jobs despite trying to take over the world. There's also Fat, who is the main source of trouble for Casper, always trying to get him in trouble for being friendly. But he does not just target Casper, he bullies everyone, and there was even an episode where everyone rose up against him. I am confused why his character is there, because he seems very capable of scaring, and that is the reason they get sent to scare school, because they're not scary enough, and he doesn't have any glaring fault other than his personality. Now back to our main character, Casper. They are still trying to make Casper scary, and for the most part, it's not working because he is too kind. Something that really confused me was in the episode Accidental Hero, where there is another scaring competition. They have a lot of those, and Casper accidentally scares a theatre full of people and gets a score so high it surpasses Kibosh. Then all the students and teachers suddenly become petrified of Casper. Even his friends start to avoid him. But is that not the goal of school? To make the students scarier? Why is he being seemingly punished for it? They should have thrown a party instead of ostracizing Casper. Normally I would complain about the 3D art style, as I am a known hater of it on this channel. But this is much better than the live action movie Casper. It was terrifying. So at least there was an improvement in his character design. The whole time I was watching the season, I was waiting for something scary to happen. I understand this is a kids show, so there's constraints on what they can do, but none of these creatures are any scarier than human can be. A majority of the time when they do the scare people, it's just for their looks alone, so their power is being ugly. None of them ever use their actual creature abilities to do anything. Even Fat only bites people like twice. That's normally directed at other creatures. This is meant to be a continuation of the Casper Scare School movie, but it seemingly ignores a lot of things that happened in the movie. One, Jimmy has never brought up his football team again, even though it was crucial in that movie. And at the end of the film, all the fleshies and creatures were having a picnic. That seemingly is forgotten by the time we get to the TV show, and Casper is still trying to hide his friendship with Jimmy from everyone other than Mantha and Ra. Now in season 2, yeah, they changed the voice actors again. For season 2, most of the main male roles went to Matthew Getzi. He went from playing just Stinky and Stretch in season 1 to basically half the characters in season 2. He was booked and busy. Season 2 repeats a lot of plot lines from season 1, such as when Jimmy's dad tries to move town because he can't find work in Dee's town, so Casper and his friends scare away potential buyers so they can't sell the house. But this ultimately fails, and just before they leave, Casper says bye to Jimmy, and his dad sees Casper and decides to become a ghost hunter. Then a season later, Jimmy's dad is struggling to find ghosts for his newfound career, so he decides to move. Casper yet again scares away the buyers, and he gets his uncles and the random grandma who just appeared. I don't know why they didn't use the aunt, that was already an established character in the movie, but oh well. Anyway, Casper's family prove the town is haunted, and Jimmy doesn't have to move. The exact same plot, just a season apart. Another thing that bothers me is humans constantly act as they don't know creatures exist. They all sat down for lunch in the movie, and every other episode, the Scare School students have basically the same task to scare fleshies in this town. For a minute I thought maybe there was a spell that made them forget their previous encounters, but no. Both Jimmy and his father remember ghosts. So after week, the creatures just jumping out and doing nothing because they don't actually cause harm, I feel like it would lose effect. But no, they all still act petrified. And when someone says, oh my gosh, I saw a zombie, I saw a ghost, I saw a werewolf, they act like that's ridiculous. They basically live in that town. There's only so much you can do with a show when none of the characters are allowed any real growth. And if there is growth, it is undone by the next episode, paired with the fact there's only 2 locations in this show, the school and Dee's town, so I'm not shocked how repetitive this show got by the end. Also, a little shout out to Wolfie, who is sometimes Casper's friend, sometimes it's the 4 amigos, sometimes it's the 3. Wolfie was sent to Scare School because he's easily scared. At one point, he was scared of his own shadow, and he hates when the full moon comes out. The show came to its conclusion in 2012 with 2 seasons of 52 episodes. Casper has been a recurring character since just after World War II. It had movies, TV shows, comics, all featuring this character, but after the colossal failure of Scare School, which Casper has not starred on screen in over a decade, he has seemingly fallen from grace. There used to be so many references to him throughout media, like in season 1 of SpongeBob, there was an episode called Squidward the Friendly Ghost. In the hit TV show Supernatural, there was a reference to him in the episode The Usual Suspect when Dean calls a vengeful spirit Casper the Bloodthirsty Ghost. He's also mentioned several times in The Simpsons TV show, but as the years go on, Casper appears to be fading from public consciousness. He was used for advertisement in 2019, and if things keep going the way they are, they're going to make a live action Casper as an adult doing drugs, and no one wants to see that because that's what they do for some reason. Make our happy little characters miserable adults, and that would be ridiculous, right? So keep Casper in your thoughts this Halloween. I mean, the last appearance of his character was in Harvey Girls Forever, which was a bunch of Harvey comic characters, and this looks horrifying, so maybe he should fade away. That will be all. Tell me your favourite Casper memory. Goodbye.